Welcome to day 2 of the Beta Qualifier. We've already got our first 45 miles logged due to working past midnight last night and already at a 100% start, even with 18% on the following distance, which I genuinely do not know how I got that, given that after midnight there was pretty much nobody on the road. But looking good still. Let's go at another day of qualifying. I'm hoping throughout the day to be able to point out different scenarios or things I'm encountering that are a good representation of what you have to avoid when driving around on the qualifier, like unexpected G-forces or reacting to people or the wonky ways autopilot might function. All these street parked cars are probably the biggest concern because they can throw a false positive on forward collision warnings. So it's always good to try to keep your line of sight, your direction of your vehicle clear from any of the side cars. Don't get too close. As well as, one thing I've done is actually I've set my early collision warning back to late. And the only reason I'm doing that is to lessen the chance of a false positive. I highly recommend everyone keep to the medium to early, unless you're trying to qualify for the beta and you want to eliminate the possibility of a random invalid forward collision warning. While we're at it, got the accelerometer. Even that corner there was 0.2 Gs. This is a scenario where you should take into account the fact that you're on a hill if you're looking at the y-axis for your forward and backward acceleration. And it's good to keep in mind that your G-forces are going to be increased slightly if you're braking downhill. Although it may be a bit unreasonable to expect it, I'm going to attempt to avoid getting a single forward collision warning throughout the entire trial period. Even using full self-driving, you got to be careful when it comes to where exit lanes and on-ramps are at. The vehicle will heavily brake most of the time in those scenarios, and that can work against you. So even though you're doing the safe thing by being an autopilot, it can count against you. When you drive as much as I do, it's kind of a double-edged sword. You can gain a lot of safe miles to help balance out any little incident that happens, but it also creates a lot more opportunity for instances to happen. Off-ramps are probably the most challenging to keep your G-forces down because you're coming from such a high amount of speed. You may have cars behind you, and if you're coming into a corner rather quickly, like, I actually need to take this right that we're passing right now. However, I'm going to avoid that aggressive cornering hit and just continue to decelerate and take this next turn at a much lower G-force. Some roads sneak up on you like that, and that's one of the reasons that I got hit with a G-force issue on the aggressive turning yesterday. It definitely highlights how horrible everybody else is. I'll tell you that, when you are taking into account everything you need to do properly for the full self-driving beta qualifier, everybody else's mistakes stand out like a sore thumb. Whether they're riding your butt, or flying by you on the highway, or diving into a corner, or cutting somebody off. Man, regular driving in California can be stressful, but trying to keep a high to nearly perfect safety score, that takes your anxiety to a whole new level. And I try to keep that level of distance when cars get in front of me to avoid the unsafe following distance hit. Frankly, if it annoys a few people that are impatient, I don't care. I'm trying to get full self-driving beta here. Right there, where the lane just kind of randomly ends. That's a case where autopilot would have kind of had a miniature freak out. Likely would have applied the brakes too hard, centered itself in the lane. Might have get a minor aggressive cornering and braking hit there for that. Autopilot is fantastic, but for the sake of qualifying for the beta, might not be the optimal way to get a safe score. I wonder how the beta will handle this, because this is the third time that I've approached this street for getting these little white separators. All right, another day done and dusted. We are at the supercharger now, filling up to start off tomorrow with a full charge. It's typically how I like to do things. And we're just gonna go through some closing thoughts here. We're gonna look at the phone and check out this safety score. So going in, and we're still at a beautiful 99. We have a 0.2% hard braking, 0.5% aggressive turning, 8.5% following distance. It's my nemesis, man. It's so hard to get that lower. But looking at the daily details, we can see that our average safety score for the day is 99%. Doing really well. 147 miles logged as compared to yesterday's 264. So we are now over 400 miles logged with Tesla. Let's see, a total of 7 trips for the day and 7 trips yesterday, so a total of 14 trips as calculated. Not bad. This is a pretty good trend. Keeping that safety score super high. 400 miles. I guess we'll see how quick we get to 1,000. I'm going to try to hit 1,000 miles by Tuesday. That'll conclude day 2 of the beta qualifier. Till tomorrow.